Hello, lovely, wonderful, patient, kind, and rational little gay people in my phone here on youtube.com. Bless. I feel the need to emphasize that today because in this video, we're going back to my dark hidden hometown, TikTok. The home of the faux moral outrage brigade, the hate train U-Haul, and the final resting place of humility. My name is Nia, also known as @BitNia, and in 1 month, I will have been making videos on this channel for 1 year. Yay! But prior to that, I was a TikToker for 5 years. I had a video blow up in 2019, right after I graduated high school, and then it was my little side hustle through college. And through that time, I saw a lot of shit. I saw a lot of fucking shit, man. My content has always centered on queerness, and as both a creator and a consumer, boy, oh boy, have I seen this space evolve. From the illustrious Hey Mamas era to Kale's the lesbian journalist, ever-evolving discourses about bisexuality, T-boy lesbians, queerness, and Christianity, we as a Wolowa community have fought wars on that clock app, much of which I've covered on this channel. I say all this to say that I know what it's like to be a TikToker, specifically in the queer or WLW space. I know the game, I know the hustle, and I know the culture. And a lot of that contributes to why I'm on YouTube now. Earlier this year, I made a 3-part series called The Internet's Evilest Lesbians, where I covered stories of abuse in lesbian relationships that unfolded online between influencers and public personas. How parasociality affects empathy, erases nuance, and in some cases, co-signs abuse. I took a break from the series because, that shit is incredibly emotionally draining to create. But here we are, months later, with a follow-up, and that is because somebody went and pissed me the fuck off. And this time, it's personal. Yes, that's right, I don't just report the queer news, I live it. So today's episode isn't about abuse, but privilege, arrogance, ignorance, and how susceptible we are, even the seemingly most woke amongst us, to selling out. While the past parts of this series explored how allegations of abuse unfold and are affected by publicity, parasociality, and capital, today's story is more about how capital affects ethics and the illusion of community. What would you do to protect your bag? Who would you step on and why? And when you're selling something under the guise of community, does it matter how much your actions align with that in reality, as long as your check comes out the same? At least in regards to this story's subject. But in a political climate that thrives off of dog whistles, belittling critical thought, and dehumanizing and making predators out of people for profit or gain, I'm much more interested in examining how susceptible audiences, notably queer audiences, are to perpetuating bigotry because, God forbid, some nuance interrupts their doom scroll. Brief pause from the video to introduce today's sponsor, Aura. So, have you ever Googled yourself? Because if you haven't, I recommend you do. Because aside from some stats from your high school sports team and maybe your Instagram handle, you might stumble across your address, your phone number, your email, all readily available for purchase on a data broker site. And that's because data brokers are out there selling all of our personal information without our permission. It's wild because a lot of apps we rely on every single day are collecting even more of our data. And unless you're ready to go hide away in the woods, there's really no way to avoid it. But luckily, today's video is sponsored by Aura. Aura tracks down the data brokers that are selling your information, automatically removes it, and keeps it off. Aura gives you dark web alerts, real-time fraud notifications for credit and banking, 24/7 identity monitoring, plus a VPN, antivirus, and a password manager. And compared to other similar services, it's way more bang for your buck. You can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/bitnia, and in those 2 weeks, they will already start scrubbing your information off of the internet. So stay safe online by protecting your data with Aura. Thanks so much to Aura for sponsoring today's video. So, if you're lucky enough to have gotten deep enough on messy lesbian TikTok, you've most likely taken a deep dive into some stranger's real life back and forth with their ex-girlfriend or ex-situationship. But in a gripping new evolution, we have gotten lesbians who have been on one singular date, beefing with each other publicly on Clock app before GTA 6. Meet Anazia.
Hi, I'm Anazia Akhalu, and I talk shit about celebrities. As a Gemini, when it comes to relationships, empathy and sympathy are like a foreign language to me. I had to reshoot this first part, LOL. Meaning I both cannot imagine myself in your shoes, and I don't pity you. There was a lesbian on TikTok and she was saying how it took her 2 years to get over her ex. I cannot even fathom. You're lucky if it takes me 2 minutes to get over you. Who is that white woman? Glorilla has recently been making headlines, and it's not about her music, it's about her looks. Yet again.
So Anazia is a content creator who moved to New York City about a year ago, towards the tail end of 2024. Since then, she's been creating daily vlog style content about her work and dating life, as well as some critiques and takes on pop culture.
Tonight, I have another first date with this gorgeous girl I met on Hinge. Maybe 5 minutes into this date, she said that she saw me on TikTok. Secrets out. I'm going on yet another first date.
And the series was attracting low to decent traction until day 36 changed everything.
Be jealous. I just had the best date of my life. This is my 36th day of being a full-time unemployed content creator. First time having Peruvian food. Definitely will be back. I've never met a person that was more kind, gentle, patient, because I can be a lot. She's so intelligent. Sometimes I feel so dumb talking to her. After spending a day and a half with her, I have realized that I might be a little bit mean. I need to change myself. She was not only generous with her money, but with her time. She built my bed frame. I'm not on the floor anymore. She built my vanity set, 1,000,000 effing pieces. She fixed both of the heels on my boot, and she degreased my dining room table and bought me more gardening supplies. I kept offering to pay. She wants nothing in return. I had a little nip slip. I was so embarrassed. She showed me hers. Now we're even. I got really comfortable with her. I took my wig off. She saw my bald spot. And I just met her yesterday. I think her love language is acts of service. I wonder if she's doing this for all the hoes. You know what? I don't even care. As long as I'm the favorite.
So that sounds promising, right? Everyone's excited, comments are hyping her up, until one day later, disaster struck. Or maybe the opposite.
Be jealous. I just had the best date of my life. False alarm. So she actually hates me and she wants children. What can a child give you that I can't? Miss Mamas came in real hot for her not to like me. She must have some type of sick TaskRabbit kink. Well, she certainly left her mark around my fucking house, didn't she? In my bed, on my boots. She saw my nipple. I feel tricked. I'm never dealing with a Sagittarius woman ever again. They're on my list. Demonic little creatures. What was that? She wrote out this long ass BS paragraph. I got so mad, I asked her not to contact me again. Oh, and I didn't get the job either. I didn't even want that fucking job. How dare they not hire me? Unfortunately, I have to keep that video up until I get paid from it. She really made my Tuesday so much worse. I have no tacos. I have no girl. I have no job. So let's just walk into traffic, I guess. This is my 37th day of being a full-time unemployed content creator.
Soon after, a user named Perla gets online to tell her side of the story, and viewers are quick to piece together she's talking about Anazia.
I went on a date with somebody that is an influencer. At first I didn't really, whenever we started talking, texting, I didn't know they were an influencer. They just told me that they made videos. But I went on one date and she made 3 TikToks in total about me that I know of. Because now I'm blocked. I cannot even see if she has kept posting. Probably not. Hopefully not. Because I'll be not. But she made a TikTok before the date, a TikTok about the date, and a TikTok about me calling it off after one date. Mind you, maybe I came a little bit strong. For her understanding, I work in trades. I'm a set dresser. I build furniture for a living. So my idea for a first date, she's just moved into her apartment. And she's been telling me over and over again that she needed some things built, like a vanity set and her bed frame. And that's light work for me. Like, that's literally what I do. So it's like, I thought it would be a nice, thing to do for our first day, to, like, go get dinner and I'll help you with your shit. And then we talk and we, like, move on from that, right? Pretty soon in the day, since the beginning, I understood that we were not gonna be compatible, because it's like the way that she carries herself is like she is, and then I let her find out she acts the same that she acts online, she acts in person. At no point did I feel that she ever relaxed or like put her, like, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I was talking to like a TikTok character the whole time. It was just really odd. And also she was not nice to like the people that we were, like, we went to buy some things to like fix her things at home. And she was mean, not mean, but like didn't have basic manners. Whenever it comes to like asking, hey, where are the cleaning supplies? Not even that. You just like pull up to the worker and be like, cleaning supplies. What the fuck is that? You know what I mean? I don't know. That was weird. That was really weird. And she keeps saying like she doesn't care about celebrities, and that's literally all she talks about. Which is okay if you care about celebrities, but don't act like you don't care about celebrities and then just talk about that. she has some. I'm not gonna top point another of the one of the biggest reasons why I decided to call the whole thing off since early, because she really obviously ignored it in her videos. I gave that one of the main reasons, but she did not decide to talk about that, I guess. But man, like, if you guys see the videos that I'm talking about, people in the comments after the day one, they were like, oh my god, you found the love of your life, you guys are getting married, when are you guys moving in together? And she's like eating it up in the comments, saying like, oh, I hope soon, I really hope this is, I do believe this is the one date. We went on one date. One day, shorty. That was so intense. I'm never going out with anybody from this app again. Also, why the fuck do you think that you have fans or like people are trying to date you for your followers? Maybe that's the case. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I have such a small account that I cannot possibly understand. But like, why you acting like you Beyonce?
To break down what all of this really is in a very grounded way, at this point, we have a pseudo-moral ethical quandary about what it means to lead someone on, how to act towards someone you know you're not interested in, and or the ethics or judgment of essentially publicizing your dating life to an audience without the other person's consent or when they have less visibility than you do. Perla's video about the situation has over 350,000 likes, whereas Anazia's first video about the date has around 90,000 with her follow-up at 50,000. So in the court of public opinion, I think people were quicker to empathize with, one, the person with the smaller platform who, yes, really did lead Anazia on, but also was thrust into this TikTok drama because a girl they went out with once made their shit public. And I think regardless of what your opinion is on what happened between the two of them, more people can empathize with being in that position because, like, most people do not air their casual dating life out to the general public for the dissemination and critique of strangers. But we'll circle back to that one. But regardless of public opinion, Anazia's numbers were up. Whilst this debacle was occurring, she'd also applied and been denied from a job, so she was incentivized to keep the video up for financial reasons and also because she'd built out a bit of a cult following. She'd found her niche in this brazen, tell it like it is, raunchy, harsh tone, and obviously, love her or hate her, it was resonating. The community gave their feedback, and this issue got tossed around as discourses usually are for about a week and a half.
Where they're making videos about each other back and forth. And the whole situation is very lesbian. Let's just say that.
The girl just went on her page and basically did the same character. I thought she was going to actually be talking, but she did the character.
It's just a hot mess. It's just a hot mess. It sounds like retrograde and a mix of y'all moving too fucking fast. Y'all moving too fucking fast.
But there was one response video in particular that would spiral the situation even further.
The Anazia x Perla dating scandal is the most perfect representation of New York City dating, especially for the gays. You can love each other, love bomb each other, and then actually be enemies. And actually be enemies for life, too. And they probably still like each other, too. They just can't fix each other, you know? They both have their own issues. But side note, you're both hot, and you guys should get back together. And if you don't, you guys should both call me.
So pause. This is my friend Fangs.
I don't think enough lesbians know they could do this, but if you're the person who receives the strap, and you don't like your partner or the person you're temporarily having sex with using the same strap with multiple people, you could actually just buy your own strap and bring it with you. Everyone's heard of the boyfriends are embarrassing discourse, but honestly, gay twist, having an evil lesbian partner is mad embarrassing because we literally don't really have rights and there's not a lot of us. So I went on an early date with this girl I was talking to, and I like her, she's cool. She invited me back to her place, cool. I just thought we were gonna hang out. Honestly, I'm autistic and dumb. All of a sudden, we're getting dirty, you know, we're getting a little nasty. But today's granny panty day for me. So I'm wearing my granny panties, and my granny panties are white Calvin Kleins with holes in them.
Fangs is a content creator and model who, similarly to Anazia, posts stories and bits about their dating life as a lesbian on TikTok. If you stumbled across their videos, you understand their brand is very open, messy, and unfiltered. So they decided to reach out to Anazia and ask her on a date. I know. Anazia thinks Fangs is too young. For context, Fangs is 24 and Anazia is 28. So they decide to hang out as friends, but it's towing the line, essentially.
What's a friend date? A freight. I'm going on another freight with my new lesbian friend. We already can't get enough of each other. This is only our second time hanging out. I think she's very sweet and considerate. This is my 47th day of being a full-time unemployed content creator. I'm guessing this is Chinatown. She picked a really cool spot for us to meet at. Yes, ma'am. Love that place so much. I'm definitely going back. So pretty. Mama's hungry. Yes, ma'am. Cheers. We kissed. I don't even know what to call her now. We're not friends. This always happens. Exactly why I don't have any lesbian friends. I don't know what happened. I don't know. You guys, I'm so, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could still be friends.
Fangs has a good time, seems like Anazia has a good time, and from what they told me, Fangs is genuinely feeling her and took her out on a very thoughtful date with good intentions, and Anazia said she felt as much on her TikTok. But Anazia is making videos about it, but contextualizing it like they're friends. But then, of course, they sleep together, unbeknownst to TikTok. And then, while we're actively on FaceTime actually, Anazia texts Fang saying she's not interested in pursuing anything romantically, but hopes they can remain friends. And then, the next day, she drops this video.
Remember my lesbian friend that I told you I kissed? Well, I lied. We slept together. This is my 50th day of being a full-time unemployed content creator. Besides her nails that definitely needed a trim, it was a pretty good cracking. After our 2 wonderful sessions, she was holding me and she asked me, was I on the spectrum? I don't know, guys. The vibes were just off conversation-wise. Initially, I did not plan on sleeping with her when I invited her back to my home because I genuinely want more lesbian friends. But I'm supposed to be doing this brand deal with this adult toy company, and I received a package from them that same night to review 4 different toys. I wanted to give an honest review, so we tried them out, among other things. Usually after I sleep with a woman, I am so clingy. Like, I'll be ready to get married. Let's do a weekend getaway. I want to be in your skin. I want you to move in. Let's adopt a cat. Then I get to fantasizing about what our lives could be like together. Yeah, there was none of that. Truth is, I just wasn't feeling her romantically. I texted her last night and told her she was taken aback and said that she was really interested in me. I felt so bad. I just want to preface this by saying she was bad as fuck. It wasn't her looks at all. Like, I just wanted to be friends. I just really hope she didn't think I was using her for her body, even though I kind of was. Women in men's fields. I was just feeling really sad and unwanted. And now I just feel sad and easy. But in my defense, there was a pretty girl, a projector, and a bed full of toys in my room. Plus, I had just gotten off my period. She getting cracked tonight. Even though we crossed that boundary, I really still hope we can be friends. She's a really lovely woman.
Now, when I first saw this, mouth agape, because damn! It's also interesting and convoluted to recount this story because obviously I was there and I have details and opinions that contextualize things that haven't been made public. So you can take my opinion with a grain of salt because obviously I'm slightly biased. But damn! I read the text Anazia sent Fangs and it was curt but polite enough and definitely seemed like there was no bad blood. So for the public-facing statement to be so disparaging, belittling, and rude, I was gagged. But I'm not making this video to defend my friend's honor in the face of a short-lived TikTok beef. I'm making this video because this is where things took a turn for the worst in a way I find deeply opportunistic, bigoted, and dangerous to the community at large. Fangs is a trans-masc, non-binary lesbian who uses they/he pronouns, and throughout the video, Anazia continually refers to them as a woman and with she/her pronouns. Fangs told me personally, as well as clarified on TikTok, that Anazia was aware that he is trans, they discussed it on the date, and Anazia used the correct pronouns when referring to him offline. Notably asking them, quote, "What's in your pants?" on their first date.
Guys, I want to tell y'all that I'd never ever lie about being trans. Also, I'm not a trans man, I'm non-binary. That means I'm just genderless. That doesn't mean I'm male. People still perceive me as a woman. I am very openly trans on every social media platform I have. I'm very proudly non-binary. I post it almost every day that I'm trans. Literally, I constantly post it. And every person I date knows I am trans.
Now I know, there's a subgroup of you who are like, a trans-masc lesbian using he/they pronouns, what? And I can't do this with you today. I've implied my viewpoints on this a lot on this channel, but been slow to just say the thing. But here we are. But I guess in short, lesbians inherently have a skewed relationship to cis heteronormativity and womanhood, and it's incredibly common and valid for people to identify as lesbians while not identifying as women. Like, queerness is about being queer and doing queer stuff. Gender nonconformity, mass, butchness is queer as hell and historically foundational to lesbianism, obviously. And pronouns, presentation, transitioning are all valid parts of actualizing that. And the presence of those things does not automatically make people men. Men don't own everything. Or at least don't have to. As I've said endlessly, lesbianism is not homogenous, and yes, it can be hard to pinpoint a definition because of that lack of homogeneity, But non-cis men loving non-cis men has felt comfortable in my purview. And even if you don't agree with that, like, we're clearly just functioning from two different viewpoints on queerness, and that's fine. We're not all always going to agree. But nonetheless, this is real and valid and happening in real life, and there are non-binary for non-binary lesbian couples getting elected co-mayors of Sapphic Pound Town, while you keyboard warrior in my comments. But feel free, I guess. Anyways, obviously, I believe Fangs. He actively was telling me about this while it was happening. But y'all don't know Fangs, or me. For real. So for argument's sake, let's dig a little deeper into the implications and repercussions of this. So these two people famously met on social media, where Fangs' pronouns are readily available on both his TikTok and Instagram pages. And just to speak to this nuance of lesbian dating, personally, I make it a priority to ask anyone I'm interested in explicitly about how they identify, because one, why would I be going out with someone and not want to make sure I'm referring to them in the appropriate and respectful way, especially if that information is available publicly by virtue of their social media. I would go out of my way to make sure that's on lock before meeting the person, because that's just respectful and cognizant. And two, because sometimes people have preferences. And assumably, if you are one of those people with a very concrete preference, you'd want to make sure the person you're meeting meets those preferences so as to not waste each other's time, right? And funnily enough, Anazia is one of those people, all of a sudden. Fangs responded with a video of their own, feeling understandably offended by the public airing out and misgendering.
Put a finger down if you ever went out with the girl from TikTok because she was in a controversy dating another girl and you thought she was hot and the other girl was hot. So you made a video saying, haha, I would have both of you. And you end up DMing one of your favorite ones, you know, out of the two. I DM her and then she tells me I'm too young for her. However, I tell her my height as a joke, like, haha, like, forget my age, what about my height? She gives me her number anyways. We meet up that day, we have a good date, we kiss. I go home. 2 days later, I ask her on another date. We go on a good date, I go to her home, we get intimate. She asked me to come over the next day. I declined because I have something to do, but I wanted to go, but I couldn't. I was like, if you get me an Uber, I was like, whatever. She declined, cool, whatever. I go home. The next day, we're texting Q. The next day, we're texting Q again. She's liking my photos. I did a nice photo shoot. Cool. I get a text saying, hey, sorry for being wishy-washy. Let's just be friends. Cool. Cool. Don't mind that. She also tells me to not make TikToks about her, which is fine by me if she does the same. She's not doing the same. She's also misgendering me in all the TikToks, maybe to make her look more gay. That's the only explanation, because in person she would not call me she, her, because my pronouns are they, he, and I told her first date I am transgender. Correct. And then she goes on TikTok saying she's using me for my body and I'm a bad bitch.
People were in Anazia's comments on the video letting her know Fangs had responded, to which she replied, I don't know them, to which Fangs responded with a video full of receipts substantializing that they did in fact go on a date. And Anazia's reply to that on her TikTok story was even more jarring, because she doubles down boats, stating, before I send out my cease and desist order, I want to address the very serious allegations that have been made about me. I have to make it very clear that I am not transphobic, and I was not aware of their pronouns as I addressed them as a woman on and offline. The one with the new lesbian friend was the first video I made about them, and I should have been politely corrected then, instead of a defamatory TikTok video after I ended things due to their age and holes in their underwear. I guess they were butthurt and needed a storyline. Y'all love to dogpile black women. It's sad. I personally don't date trans men/women. I've grown tired of loser ass clout chasers. It's getting weird. My lawyer will take it from here. Love ya. Jesus. Where do I even start? So, first of all, I was talking to Fangs before the date, after the date, like I knew what was going on in real life pre-mess. But this story post was the point where it shifted for me as seeing my friend, yes, definitely put themselves in a compromising position to, oh, this lady's actually fucked up and spewing deeply harmful rhetoric that I really don't want to gain further traction in my community. So I acknowledge I cannot be fully objective in my commentary on this situation, but also, I'm not claiming to. This is my YouTube channel. This is my opinion, and I'd have the same opinion if Fangs was a stranger. Of course, I feel an inclination to defend my friend in the face of the nonsense we're about to unpack, but at the same time, I fundamentally, ideologically, disagree with her sentiments, and not just the way they impacted Fangs, but also the way her followers are championing her flawed logic and harmful rhetoric amidst the backdrop of support black women and lesbian preference politics. But since I must say it, feel free to take what I say with a grain of salt, if you must. So let's talk pronouns. We're doing ABCs, y'all, but I'll bite. As I believe we all are aware, trans people, non-binary people are an oppressed class. We are watching in real time our current administration try to strip trans people of access to life-saving medical care, the ability to serve, the ability to use bathrooms freely in certain places. I don't think that's up for debate, right? I find the idea that Fangs was meant to politely make Anazia aware of their pronouns completely asinine. This is not your colleague, this is not your student, this is someone you are pseudo-dating and clearly sleeping with. I think you can take the initiative to ask that question because it shows you care about respecting someone, and as someone who is so caught up on the 4-year age gap, I think it would have been the mature thing to do. Regardless of if you agree with it or not, there are plenty of reasons a trans person may not feel comfortable sharing some aspect of their identity on a first date, and taking the initiative to ask that person shows you care and are a safe person, especially as a cis femme going on a date with, let's say hell she didn't know they were trans, a gender nonconforming person at least. To define gender nonconforming, someone who doesn't ascribe with the typical presentation of their assigned gender, but is not necessarily trans. Cis femboys or cis mass lesbians are both gender nonconforming. Capiche? And when it comes to gender nonconforming cis women, typically lesbians, who constantly have their identities questioned simply because they are masc, that's not right either. And I give weight and respect to that experience. However, me personally, I'd rather be safe than sorry. And what that typically looks like is checking someone's social media to see if they have any indicator of how they identify on their profile. And you see where I'm going with this, right? And this conversation has been incredibly potent, typically with trans women and cis men dating. Like, she should have told me she was trans so I could have made an informed decision, which again, disacknowledges the danger, violence, and potential fatality, statistically, that disclosing too early could lead to for a trans woman, as opposed to a cis man maybe having to reckon with his own relationship to attraction, gender, and sexuality, I guess. But again, all of that is for naught if by Fangs' account, Anazia is lying and did in fact know Fangs' correct pronouns, as well as the fact they were trans. Then this becomes a very different situation.
People are just lying on the internet because they're kind of just upset with themselves, honestly. Like, it's like a inner problem. I've told Miss Girl, first date, I am non-binary and trans. My pronouns are they, he. She asked me, what is in your pants? And I didn't respond to that. Because why are you asking what's in my pants? We just met. This is the first date. You may not get in my pants.
In which case, no, Anazia does not, quote, not date trans people. She just doesn't want to appear like she does online. What this spiraled into is more of that dialogue you typically see between cis men and trans women, where now Anazia's followers are implying Fangs intentionally sought to mislead her. Oh, so now we're making masked people of color predators territory? I don't really like that. Now, the current cultural ecosystem around mass femme, stud femme, lesbian relationships online is fraught. And looking, yes, it's become a little gendered. You'll see relatable TikToks of femmes being like, run from that evil stud, they cheat, they lie, they're evil, I miss her.
Here's a list of studs I do not trust. Starting off with number 1.
And you'll see mass and studs being like, that evil mean femme will save you, but also always have a roster.
This is my list of femmes not to trust. Starting off with the ones that hit, they went to the bottom and shit. Oh, I'm hungry. Bitch, you hungry every motherfucking day.
It's playful, it's toxic, but it's relatable as hell to the quirked up community of lesbians all struggling to be loved and nurtured as we navigate the hellscape of our 20s, right? Right? Something like that. Nonetheless, narratives have emerged that masks are like evil, for sure, and whores, sorry. I've seen that. And not like actually like bigotry evil, but like, you know, femme scorned evil. Like, how could you do this to me? You said you liked me, evil. However, that's the narrative you'll get when you get really into lesbianland.com. Similar to myself, I don't really know any straight cis men in my generation. Like, at all. Can't think of one genuinely that I speak to even semi-consistently. And that's not on purpose. I'm just really into lesbianland.com. That's my truth. But it's very important, especially when discourses like this come up, that we all understand lesbianland.com is not real life. America real. Bigotry real. Homophobia real, you know? And due to trends like the infamous mask shortage or the notorious cheating stud epidemic, to some people there's an air around masked lesbians that can almost make them appear as more privileged.
There are a lot of femmes that are attracted to women in boys' clothes. It's just economics, it's scarcity, okay?
Like, they're just out there taking names and fucking bitches and leaving women sobbing in their wake. And guys, I'm gonna be so real. You caught me on a horrible motherfucking day to defend masked lesbians. If you only knew. But nonetheless, my own personal experiences, or anyone else's for that matter, do not change the fact femme lesbians have more privilege societally than masked lesbians.
A sexual predator's first target is always going to be a stud.
Look at the way that straight men act when they see a stud that they're attracted to. Look at the way they act. Even a straight woman. Why are you going after a stud when you don't like women? That don't even make sense.
Being visibly queer is inherently more dangerous, and I truly feel part of my identity as a femme is to use my perceived gender conformity to protect butches, mass, and studs. Like, that's just my purview. My understanding of this has always been if there is a man who is doing something that makes me and my hypothetical mass partner uncomfortable, we can cover two angles. I try to level and placate and reason because I'm inherently non-threatening, right? I'm soft. You don't want to hit a girl, sir. I'm gonna bat my eyelashes. I can appeal to this side of what a woman is and hopefully hit some bone of chivalrous, patriarchal logic in the average man. And if that don't work, my partner brings a more protective, confrontational energy. And if none of that works and hands get thrown, it's 2v1. You feel me? Obviously, this is worst case scenario, and it's not always going to play out like this. Region, race, personality all play a factor. But when it comes to the functionality of butch-femme relationships, that idea has always been something I've appreciated as a concept. In that vein again, I feel a strong sense of protection over gender nonconforming lesbians. That's where this lady has me fucked up once again, because she talks about the content she makes on her second page, which really functions as her lesbian page, as a model of representation.
There was a hole in this market and I decided to fill it. What's wrong with that? There aren't a lot of lesbian creators that take you on their dating journey, and that could be for a number of reasons.
People don't get to see the realities of what it's like dating as a lesbian. Like, she's doing this service for the community, but it really seems way more like a disservice because it doesn't seem like you've reckoned with or processed what it means to be a partner, sexual or otherwise, to a gender non-conforming person. What that means for them, what it may mean for you, and by her own words, she really was just sexualizing them and using them for their body, essentially, which is dehumanizing atop the alleged bias. I get sometimes you just need a good cracking. And I'm not saying every butch femme hookup must come with this air of awareness and nuance, but there should be basic respect, I hope, and a cognizance of the dynamic and the real world implications of it, like what it means for both of you, both interpersonally, and what it means when you're hypothetically walking down the street next to each other. That awareness is fundamental to my purview of lesbianism, personally. Secondarily, I don't think I'm not transphobic and I don't date trans men or women logically makes sense in the same sentence. And I understand this is incredibly nuanced. And some of you just went, oh, but hey, stay with me. My point is not being attracted to trans people is not an innate sexual orientation. It's socially inflicted. I'm not telling anyone who to sleep with, who to be, who to want. I don't care. I'm not condemning anyone, for real. My point is just that your preference is contextualized by your experiences. You cannot just in a vacuum say, I'm just not attracted to trans people because that's how I was born. Because trans people are not homogenous. There is really not one thing all trans people, women or man or non-binary respectively, share except for being trans. Trans people are not a monolith. Presentation, ideologies, and of course, the big one, yes, genitals vary. Some trans women have vaginas and some trans men have penises. What now? So it's like, when you say you don't date trans people, what do you mean by that? Like, genuinely, what are you saying? And if what you're saying boils down to, I just don't want to deal with all that. Okay, but hey, so that is actually prejudice, you know? My best friend, who is an incredible trans writer, covered this topic in his Substack piece, Let's Talk About Genitals, which I think hits the crux of my point perfectly. Quote, the key is not to start fucking trans people for the sake of solidarity. I'm not telling people to simply get over sexual traumas in order to be the pinnacle of trans allyship. You can recognize the root of these biases within yourself and still prefer to munch on some box. Does that make you complacent to transphobia? I honestly don't know. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. Do I think it makes you a bad person? No. Does it make you a good person? No. It just makes you a person. We live in a violent, harmful, oppressive world, and as a result, we are all products of the society we live in. We so often view these things in such extremes. Either you're as transphobic as Trump's whole cabinet, or you would take a bullet for Dylan Mulvaney. This leaves out the ways that individuals perpetuate these systems on micro and interpersonal levels. I'm not going to placate and say it's okay to be ethically gray, or it doesn't make you a bad person. Enough. Some people only take accountability to feel like a good person again, or they avoid taking accountability because they do not want to think they are capable of being a bad person. We need to grow up. We don't know how to own up to harm without punishing ourselves, without feeling overcome with guilt and shame, without feeling like we are bad people. This carceral way of viewing wrongdoing is not only unfair to ourselves, but also unproductive. Time spent beating yourself up about how you're secretly a bad person could be more effectively used to have an honest unpacking about your harmful subconscious beliefs. It does not make you bad, it makes you a person. It is what it is. End quote. Damn, he eats. I love my best friend. To circle back to Anazia, The idea that in her acknowledgement of her alleged wrongdoing, she's basically saying, I have absolutely no internalized bias towards trans people, I just wouldn't date them. Like, doesn't make sense to me. Especially because she literally didn't have to say that. Like, you could have just left that part out about not dating trans people because it's not relevant. It's really not relevant to the situation at all. Like, what did that actually have to do with anything except further solidify to your audience your own warped and binary view of queerness, which you're allowed to have, I guess? But also then don't say in the same statement you're not transphobic, because what? Hello? Am I bugging? I don't think I'm bugging. Especially as someone who's lived in New York and been immersed in its multifaceted, complex, beautiful queer scene since I was 17, it's so disheartening to see someone represent the community here this way and have people mindlessly jumping on her bandwagon and dogpiling a trans person. I already mentioned how ideologically transness and lesbianism are not mutually exclusive, but on a tangible level, the lesbian scene in New York is hella filled with trans people. Binary trans people, non-binary trans people, gender fuckery, boy girls, girl theys, like that's genuinely how it is here, and it's awesome and amazing. And if you watch my New York City lesbian bar video about the scene, like, yeah, that's the scene. A huge part, component, an essential facet of the scene is built and operated and upheld by trans people. My own relationship to queerness has been incredibly influenced by transness, as well as the incredible trans people in my life. 3 of my exes are trans, and none of them are trans in even remotely the same way, identity and ideology-wise, even gender-wise, because transness, again, is not homogenous. Like this staunch and flawed understanding of transness that, again, I'm not convinced she truly believes off-screen, but is pushing to her followers, shows me her content is not for the community, it's for her. It's Anazia doing whatever she wants and acting like it's praxis because lesbian, while also giving that she's never had to be confronted with what it means to be in community with trans people, and she don't really want to deal with all that, basically, which, sure. What am I gonna do about that, right? Like, make your content for the cis lesbians. But as a Black lesbian content creator in New York, I'd like to state in response that the queer scene, at least the one I know and love and feel upheld by, is not this binary, genital, essentialist, strict thing. It moves, it breathes, and it is a privilege to be in community with trans people, not a burden. Anyways, then Anazia posted this.
I want to make something very clear. I am not dating for content. I'm dating plus content. Meaning I would still go out on just as many dates even if I wasn't documenting it. This is my 57th day of being a full-time unemployed content creator. I don't feel as though I'm coming off as inauthentic. If I'm going to go through the hell of dating in the lesbian community, I might as well get paid for it. Unfortunately, I did have 2 certain individuals come into my life and try to destroy me for clout and followers or trying to promote some stupid-ass, clown-ass birthday party. But that's neither here nor there. Death to both of them. They're blocked on social media and IRL. This is my real life. I don't know what videos are gonna pop off. This is my real dating experience. Some of these things can happen to you, not exactly in the same way, but people can certainly come into your life and disrespect you and lie on your name. So for anybody that's saying that I'm doing this for views, just say that you're jealous. Jealous of the attention that I naturally get. When's the last time somebody asked you out on a date? When's the last time somebody bought something for you? Built something for you? When's the last time you got laid? Oh, okay. If you don't like my page, it's just a couple of clicks away as to where you would never have to see me again. And for those of you that love my page, I'm so excited to take you on the journey to finding the love of my life.
I hate seeing Black women be loud and wrong. It pains me for real. Y'all, I am also a social media creator. I get the game. I do. I've been doing this for 6, 7 years. I'm not a purist. I'm not above oversharing online. We're young and turned. Get it how you live it. I'd seen some of Anazia's content before this mess, and I was like, yeah, entertaining boots. She's crazy, but she's real. Like, me too. But that's on my phone. I like crazy on my phone where it's safe and I can swipe. I think when you're trying to do social media that way, meaning something a bit more morally gray, a bit exploitative, you either have to be hyper conscious of how that affects the real people in your life, or you double the fuck down and go dark mode, which is what I think Anazia is doing. Death to both of them? Girl, what? Death to both of them? Like, why would you want that on your digital footprint, knowing damn well, allegedly, you are lying? Especially considering if she was doing this type of content as a straight Black woman dating, I don't know, white men, I would still be like, morally gray, but at least camp. Kind of praxis, I'll bite. But she's punching down to a community that's facing wide-scale politically backed social erasure and pretending that she's not. And I just can't justify that for a bag. Like, when I was a teenager, I was making YouTube videos, and I remember being 15 and putting some stupid clickbait drama channel sister squad shit in my title and thumbnail and getting 3,000 views and being like, oh shit, I made it. And I got one comment from someone that I remember to this day, nearly 10 years later, saying, you don't need to do this. Talking shit and dogpiling regurgitated, somewhat baseless talking points on strangers is not what you want to be known for. And I was like, fuck. You kind of got me there. And like, obviously what I do now is cover other people's lives and controversies, but truly I try to do it with nuance and grace because I genuinely believe the message I'm promoting. A message that's rooted in empathy, humanity, and the realities of the world we're all navigating, not doubling down on shitting on strangers for my own personal gain. And scroll through my catalog for real, I stand on that. I get the appeal, I really do, especially as someone who clearly is trying to make this full-time content creator thing work. I typically support Black women's rights and wrongs. I'm not even really saying I don't support this whole shtick she has going. Fangs often does the same thing, to be fair. I do think it's a slippery slope. I do think it can cause more harm than good for her and those around her. And besides that, it's one thing to do something for a bag and an entirely different thing to be spewing dog whistles and shitting on already marginalized communities while leveraging y'all just love to hate on Black women. I fucking hate that shit. Oh my God, because people do love shitting on Black women. You're right, but like, that's not what's happening, and Fangs was getting way more hate than Anazia throughout this whole ordeal, as well as the fact Fangs was literally being slut-shamed in his comments, despite Anazia literally admitting she used Fangs for his body. And on the prior critique of Fangs putting themselves in this position, sure. And I told them that before they went on the date, but it kind of changes nothing. Is being messy justification to be publicly ridiculed for your identity? Is being messy just cause you have someone you went on one date with wish death on you publicly while the masses clap and cheer? To be slut-shamed and have your sex life publicized and critiqued by strangers? Fangs was the one who got publicly disrespected and dehumanized and villainized and belittled, regardless of why they were in that position. It's just further normalizing victim-blaming culture. The intent doesn't justify the impact. And the fact that so few of her viewers were able to see and think critically about what Anazia was doing, saying, and implying is so genuinely scary. Being messy and naive is legal. And honestly, incredibly normal. Like, I subtweeted my evil ex in this video. And I'm doing it again, right now. And I would hope if she got on TikTok tomorrow and said she hopes I die, that people would be like, so we hear you. But not too much, because what the fuck? And vice versa. There is space for humanity, for pettiness, for flaws. We cannot always be saints, and I, for one, will never claim to be. But I think there are lines that people shouldn't cross, especially online, especially when dealing with already marginalized communities, and especially when you purport to care about those communities. Well, I guess maybe to not get canceled.
So because there's never a dull moment, as I'm making this video, there's an update. So I didn't mention this in the video, but Fangs is also a party host. They do that a lot. They're hosting a party at the Bush, which is one of the only Black lesbian spaces in Brooklyn, if not in New York. It's a Black party. I go to the Bush very often. I've talked about it on my channel before. Many of the patrons and staff at the Bush are not only BIPOC, not only notably Black, but also gender nonconforming, trans. It's a very inclusive space that centers Black queerness. Anazia, I'm assuming, didn't know that Fangs was hosting that night, pulled up, got removed for reasons that I feel are evident, and posted this video.
I would not recommend going to the Bush. It's a dangerous place for lesbians. Do not go to the Bush if you are a Black lesbian. It's a terrible place to be. Ugly, jealous bitches will be in the vicinity. Be sure to steer clear away from the Bush. They are colorist, they are racist, they are horrible, based on my personal experience. I totally understand why they're jealous of a bitch like me. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Ugly ass bitches!
Anazia's vlogged going to the Bush before, so I know this was her second time ever going to the Bush, and I just think I, as a Black lesbian who goes to the Bush like every week, would just like to say I disagree. I'm sorry, it's not that funny. It's just like, actions have consequences and the community is very small. I'm really just not trying to make this a personal attack on her and trying to make a broader statement, but I'm like, girl, you just keep digging.
Obviously, we all love mess. That's why we're here. Whether you keep up with lesbian drama like this on TikTok or come to YouTube to hear me synthesize it for you, none of us are really above this. But there's this arrogance and hypocrisy evidenced by the treatment of Fangs where it's like blaming them for falling into her shtick, when clearly her followers also are into the shtick. Like, obviously she's going to post insane things about you. That's what she does. Why would you go out with someone like that? To which I would reply, why do you follow her? Because you're intrigued. Because it's fun. It's interesting. And that's what Fangs thought too. They took it to the max, for sure. But she's the one who actually did the bad thing. Am I bugging? But because of that, now they're deserving of a transphobia-fueled hate train and being slut-shamed. Like, everyone, please get more serious. At the end of the day, we are all under the boot of capital, and many, many people have and will do much more heinous things for a bag. But here in the queer community, in New York City, of all places, I want better. I think we all do. I hope. Solidarity, community, understanding, care, those are the pillars of my queer community. And it's that basis that drives my work. That's what I want people to take away from this video, that we will always have a reason to sell each other out. That's what the forces at B want us to do as oppressed people, especially, not even just queer, but any marginalized group. You'll have even more reason to skew your morals for a leg up, to try and crawl up the boot. And I'm not saying I don't get it, or I don't see it, or I'm above it. It's human in many ways, but it is not right. And I don't want this shit normalized. It's weaponizing oppression at the expense of someone with less than you. It's selling out the community while pretending you're advocating for it. And if we live in a world where we blindly watch this shit happen, co-sign it, and scroll, then we live in a world where eventually it'll be you. And there will be no one left to advocate for you. Anyways, that's my soapbox for the day. And also, I'm taking a hiatus from Glass Closet, my podcast. I launched it and this whole channel actually this January, and I'm so grateful for all the support. This was a crazy, wild pipe dream a year ago, and I'm truly so grateful for every single one of you who tunes in and listens to me talk my shit. I'm putting all the episodes ad-free on my Patreon, as well as my video essays, so if you need a hashtag break from the ads, I think it's $5 a month. And the new year, I'm going to try to post 4 videos a month. But don't hold me to that. But yeah, as the year comes to a close, stay gracious, stay kind, stay just messy enough, and stay gay.